Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So earlier today I saw the movie Get Out, and before I even start this analysis, if you have not seen that movie, go and see it because it's so good. Like, it seriously exceeded my expectations. Like, people were saying it was going to be good. I didn't know it was going to be that great. So definitely go and see it if you have not seen it yet. So basically I'm just going to be doing like an analysis and sort of like a breakdown of the movie. I don't think I included any spoilers in this. Like, everything that I'm about to say, pretty much you can get from the trailer. So let's get into the analysis. Okay, so the movie starts out with this guy walking in the suburbs, and he's lost. He's on his phone trying to find his way. And then next thing you know, he's getting choked out and thrown in a van. Or not a van, getting thrown in the trunk of a car, which completely validates my fear of walking in the suburbs at night. You know, a lot of people, they'll drive through a black neighborhood, like an inner city neighborhood, and they'll lock the doors and they'll be afraid of getting robbed or whatever. Black people feel the same way about walking through the suburbs or walking through like the backwoods or wooded areas because that's where the racists reside. So yeah, the fear of walking through the suburbs at night as a black man, definitely validated and verified within the first like 10 seconds of this movie. Okay, so now on to the main characters of the movie. So the black guy in the movie, his name is Chris, and then his girlfriend's name is Rose. So Rose and Chris have been together for 4 months, and Chris is agreeing to go to Rose's parents' house to go meet them for the first time. There were so many warning symbols in the beginning of this movie. I don't know why this man decided to go through meeting her parents. One of the red flags that I spotted was when she started saying that, oh, my parents don't know that you're black, but it doesn't matter. They voted for Obama. As soon as they pull the Obama card, it's time to pull back. You know, I'm not racist because I voted for Obama. He should have known right there. Stay away from this girl. All right, the second warning sign was that his friend, he's on the phone with his friend, and his friend is telling him, like, I already told you, don't be going to that white girl house. The friend is joking around, obviously. The friend is like the comic relief in the movie, but at the same time, he's being like halfway serious. So like, you're getting warned like right from the jump from your friend not even to not even go through with it, and then you still do. So that was the second warning sign. And then on top of that, when they're on the road on the way to Rose's parents' house, they hit a deer. Like, a deer just comes out of nowhere, just like sprints across the road and end up hitting and killing the deer. And I'm just like, if this is not a sign, like, you turn around and go back home. You know what I'm saying? And also remember that hitting of the deer thing, because that's gonna play a role. It's going to play a role in the symbolism later on. So they get to the parents' house, and the father is showing him pictures, and then the father shows him a picture of his father, I believe, or his grandfather, who competed in the 36? I think the 1936 Olympics, if I'm not mistaken. And that's the Olympics where Jesse Owens like completely dominated. Like, Hitler was hell-bent on showing people that the white race, like the Aryan race, is superior, and then Jesse Owens pretty much just blew them out of the water. And Rose's dad in the movie, he says that his grandfather almost got over it. So clearly the grandfather has some type of grudge against black people, and then you're in the house with his family. Like, the flags were just flying all over the place, and Chris, for some reason, just did not pick them up. Okay, so now on to the symbolism. Chris, the main character, is a photographer. If you're the type of person to go online and interpret your dreams, which I am, I'm always looking up like symbolism in dreams or what certain things mean. So if you look up dreaming about a camera, what it says is that there is something in front of your face that you need a clear picture of. So him being a photographer and a camera in a dream, meaning that there's something in front of you that you're not seeing clearly, basically is foreshadowing what's yet to come. Like, there's danger right in front of Chris and he just can't see it yet. All right, next let's move on to Rose's brother. Now, Rose's brother meets Chris, and immediately he's acting like a weird, obsessive creep. He's just like, yeah, with your genetic makeup, you would dominate in fighting. Like, he's like, ugh. It's like he is much like a lot of creepy racists. Like, they claim to hate black people, and they claim that black people are so inferior, but it's like they envy from afar. Like they envy their build, they envy their structure. And then he gets to a point where he tries to like prove himself to Chris. So he's like, get up, like let's fight. Like, let's play fight. Symbolizes the typical racist. You swear up and down that you're superior, but you always feel the need to prove that you're superior. So something's off there. Okay, now let's talk about the deer. So when they first get to the house and they tell Rose's dad that they hit a deer, the dad starts to say, oh, that's good, because deers, what did he say? He basically was saying like deers, there's too many of them. They're starting to overpopulate. They're starting to take over. And every time he hears that one gets killed, Like, he feels like the world is a better place for it. And when he said that, I was like, ooh, weird. Because when there's an incident of police brutality or any incident of a hate crime against a black person, you can bet that if you go in the comment section, you always see a racist with that same narrative. Like, they're just like, oh, well, the world's a better place now because they're gone. And they see black people or black bodies as like a nuisance, and they're always screaming white genocide, like black people are going to come and dethrone them, which is crazy because black people are not worried about dethroning anyone. It's like, it's a clear case of just a complete inferiority complex and paranoia. So when the dad says that, it's like he's talking about a deer, but he's not really talking about a deer. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's that, like, he's using the deer as a metaphor. And what's also crazy is that if you look up dream symbolism for deers, it says that when you dream about a deer, that means that you need to beware of the people that are surrounding you. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. So far, we've got a slew of like blatant red flags and also symbolic red flags, and that's one of them. And also at the end of the movie, he sees a deer hanging on the wall. The deer's head on the wall is just a metaphor for what they're doing to black people within this movie. Tracking them down, hunting them, and then bringing them home to be used for their own personal gain or to be used as kind of like bragging rights or like a trophy. Now onto the teacup. Rose's mom is a psychiatrist, and what she does to help people is that she hypnotizes them. So Chris smokes, and she's like, let me hypnotize you so that you can stop smoking. And he's like, hell no, you're not about to get into my brain. So, I mean, she does it anyway. Like, he just happens to be walking around late at night, and she calls him into her office, and she decides that she's going to hypnotize him. And she does it with a teacup. Like, sometimes in dreams, teacups can be a positive sign. But if you dream about a teacup and there is some negative feeling attached to the teacup in the dream, then that's when a teacup turns into a bad omen. It means that you need to wake up and pay attention. And also, it means that one of your social or romantic relationships is about to take a turn. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. That's exactly what's happening in the movie with Chris and his girlfriend and the family and everything else. So I found that interesting that they use a teacup as the form of hypnosis. And I knew it was significant because usually in movies, they'll use like the watch, like the swinging watch to hypnotize somebody, but the fact that they use a teacup, I had to go and look that up because I'm like, no, there has to be a reason behind this. Next is the sunken place, which is one of the craziest parts in the entire movie. So the sunken place represents the subconscious mind, right? Because when she hypnotizes Chris, the sunken place is where he goes when he's hypnotized. So that's how she gets inside his subconscious mind. And for those who don't know, your conscious mind is what talks back to you. Like when you're thinking about something, in your head, your thoughts that you're hearing, that's from your conscious mind. But your subconscious mind is just like a collection of records that just get stored back there. If you have any traumas or anything deeply disturbing that happened to you, it's embedded within your subconscious mind. So Rose's mom, what she did was she used Chris's past trauma of his mom dying to sink him into his subconscious, into a dark place of his subconscious. Now, like I mentioned before in one of my other videos, guilt is the lowest of the low on the scale of vibrational frequency. So once you sink into a feeling of guilt, you open up the door for like a floodgate of negativity and darkness to come into your life. So her tapping into Chris's trauma is bad enough, but then on top of that, she's tapping into the guilt that he feels over his mother's death. And that's enough to really push him and sink him back deep into the dark corners of his subconscious mind, which is why they call it the sunken place. So basically, the sunken place is the abyss. Like, you see Chris falling in this like bottomless pit. And if you look up the word abyss, or you look up the symbolism or the meaning behind an abyss, especially in a dream, it usually means death, whether it be physical or psychological death. So basically, the mother is using psychological warfare on Chris, tapping into his past traumas to sink him into a place of guilt and darkness so that then she can control his mind. That directly relates to how African Americans are usually treated in this country. When we go into public school, we go into high school, not even just high school, as early as middle school, elementary school, the only thing that African Americans are taught about our ancestors is slavery. Like, our past starts with slavery. To teach that to children is basically lowering their self-esteem, or it's ruining their psyche. And I feel like this is done purposely. I don't feel like this is an accident, like they don't know what it's doing to black kids to only present to them that they were slaves at one point. I feel like that's done purposely to keep them in a dark place, because when you put someone in a dark place or you continuously remind them of their trauma, that is the easiest way for you to control someone's mind and their behavior. Not even just that, it could be any trauma. It doesn't even have to be past trauma. So when police kill unarmed Black people, you'll notice that the videos are extremely easy to find. They're being played on the news on a loop. And what that does to your psyche is just, it's not healthy as a Black person to witness that. But they understand that, and that's why it's being force-fed. So, like I was saying, in the movie, when the mom uses Chris's trauma and his guilt as a form of basically lowering his vibration and bringing him into a dark place, that's when she knows that she can control him now. That's the first step in the mind control that she's about to place upon him, or the mind control that these people have been using on Black people. So pretty much what's happening is, okay, this is going to be a spoiler, I suppose. So if you have not seen it or you don't want to hear this part, then skip over it, or I'll try to leave a timestamp of when I finish talking about this part. So basically in this movie, they are abducting Black people, and they are separating the Black person's conscious from their subconscious mind. The Black people are being sent to live in the dark corners of the subconscious mind, in the sunken place, while a white person gets to take over the Black person's mind and body, their conscious mind and body. But like, the Black person is still fully aware of what's going on. They just can't do anything about it. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so white person wants to be Black, abducts a Black person, uses hypnosis in order to separate the conscious from the subconscious mind completely, so that they have no control of their bodies. And then that white person gets to be that Black person, or gets to have a Black body. Next up is the phone flash. When Chris takes a picture of the other Black guy that's there, the Black guy starts freaking out. He's screaming, "Get out." I'm sure you've seen that on the trailer. And I just found that interesting because in psychology, there's this thing called CFS, and it stands for continuous flash suppression. And basically what CFS is a way that you can implant certain ideas into your subconscious mind. Like, they can completely bypass the conscious mind and go straight into the subconscious mind and stick. So I found it interesting that in this movie, the flash is what actually was bringing the people out of this hypnotized state. And also the part where he actually takes a picture of the guy and the guy starts freaking out, like right before he does that, he goes up to the guy, like, and you can see this on the trailer too, he goes up to the guy like, "Yeah, it feels good to see another brother here." The guy just kind of turns around like, "What?" Like, because he's not really him. And I think that's crazy, because it reminded me so much of like when you're in a situation where it's all white people, or you're surrounded by racist people, and you're trying to like seek that comfort in a Black person, and you go like up to the Black person, it can go right or left. Like, you and the person can click, y'all can bond, y'all can relate to each other and help each other out. Or you could go up to them and come to find out that they are of no help to you, and that they have already been brainwashed. In high school, whenever there would be like a racial discussion, or I felt like I was being attacked, or if I felt like I was being like ganged up on by like racists, and I would look over like to the Black people in the classroom and they wouldn't say not one word. So I found that part interesting, that there are Black people who have been brainwashed, or who have been put into such a deep state of fear that you can't even see comfort in them and relate to them in terms of wanting to feel comfortable in Black skin, because they don't feel comfortable in their Black skin. So you just can't see comfort in them. So that's the first thing I thought about when I saw that part. Okay, next up is the fetishization. Oh God, I can never say that word. Fetishizing Black men. Okay, that's one of the themes in this movie, which I'm glad it's a theme in this movie, because it's something that I feel like needs to be discussed. Basically, the girl in the movie, Rose, right? She's with that guy, Chris, and it is very clear by the end of the movie that she is not for him, obviously, because she feeds him to the wolves by the end of the movie. And it's just crazy to me, because that's how a lot of racist white girls are. And like, no, I said racist white girls. Don't mean, oh, not all white girls. Yeah, right. I said racist white girls, because I've been to school with them. I've grown up around them. And a lot of them, they want a Black boyfriend as kind of like a trophy to like put on their arm, but they don't really value them. They don't love them. They don't care for them. It's like, you're not special. Like it could be any Black person on their arm. They don't care. In school, I know this one girl, I asked her before, like, it was this boy that she liked, and he's a Black guy. And I didn't get it, because I didn't find him attractive. And I was like, well, what do you even like about him? And she was just like, well, he's Black. Like, she straight said it, like, he's black, like, that's why I like him. So it's kind of like they just don't see black men as individuals. They just see them as like a black body. And when the going gets tough, best believe they will be disposing of a black man and moving on to the next one. So after Rose fed Chris to the wolves, this guy that she claimed to love, then she was on the computer like looking up like black athletes. Like a creep, like a creepy racist white girl. And it's crazy because when Chris saw the maid in the movie is black. And when Chris saw the maid, he was just like, I don't think she likes the fact that we're together. He assumed that the maid tampered with his phone because she was upset because she's a black woman and he is in the house with a white woman. When whole time, the maid really wanted to warn him of what was going on. You know, take note of that, because I see a lot online, people like, oh, black girls be so bitter. They be so bitter about black guys dating white girls, but it's not always that. Like, sometimes we can literally just see through the fact that these white girls are using you as a pawn or like a trophy, and it's unsettling sometimes. So don't always assume, like Chris did in the movie, that it's some type of underlying jealousy, when really it could be just trying to look out and protect black men. All right, so next up is the auction, which is straightforward. They auctioned Chris off, and it reminded me directly of a slave auction, obviously. Now onto the theme of superiority versus inferiority, right? Because racists in this country, they swear up and down that they're the superior race. They swear up and down that black people are like the scum of the earth. And also racists like to set the standard of beauty. European features are considered the standard of beauty. It's crazy that those rules are set into place, but it's like, if you were so superior, then why do you always have to prove yourself? You know what I'm saying? Like, the whole movie is based on white people, racist white people wanting black features and wanting black bodies, like wanting to be black people, but at the same time talking down to them. But really, it's just a matter of them trying to separate black people from their true essence and from their true power. A lot of racists see the true power of black people and they do not like it, they do not appreciate it, and they envy it, and they want it for themselves. The grandfather is living within the black groundskeeper's body, right? He has taken over that body, and at night he is seen like running, like outside of the house, like sprinting fast as hell. Like, this man was out. And it's just crazy because I'm just like, yeah, he probably got a kick out of that shit. Like, the grandfather is probably just so pumped to be inside of like a black body that can run and jump and has like these athletic abilities. And that's what racists see when they see black people. Like, they try to act like, oh, black people, I would never want to be. Yeah, but you would though. And that's what ran through my mind when I found out that the grandfather was living within the groundskeeper's body. Like, you're so hype to be inside. I can only imagine you were lusting after or like wanting so bad to live inside of that black skin. It was just creepy. It was creepy. And then the grandmother, she was living inside of the maid's body. She's living inside the black maid's body. And she's constantly like checking herself out in the mirror. Like, she's like checking herself out in the mirror, checking her skin, checking her hair. Like, she's obsessed with the way she looks, which is crazy because racists, like I said, they like to talk down on black women and black women's features and deem them ugly and unattractive. But then look at in the movie when the lady was put inside a black woman's body, she couldn't stop staring at herself, obsessed with herself. And that's what I'm saying. There's this theme of acting superior with this underlying inferiority and envy that I feel that lives within every racist. And this movie just pretty much depicts it so perfectly. Like, the movie is just so, go see it. It's perfect. All right, so now I'm gonna break down the names and then I'll be done. Okay, Andre. Andre is the guy that got abducted in the very beginning. If you look up Andre, the name Andre, it usually means manly, masculine, tough, brave. So yeah, it's interesting that a guy named Andre, whose name basically embodies the essence of the black man, is the first one abducted in this movie. And I don't think that's by coincidence either, because that's the traits that they are wanting to emulate. That's the traits that they are wanting to take from the black man. Okay, so next up is the name Chris. And if you look up the name Chris, usually it's associated with someone who is very artistic or has like a good eye for art, which Chris does because he's a photographer. But also Chris stems from, what was it? Follower of Christ. So people with the name Chris are usually, they're usually good-hearted, trusting, loving people, which you can see in this guy too. And it's a shame that he opened up and trusted the wrong type of people. And also you can see how good of a person he is when he hits the maid by mistake and then he like decides to go back and go get her. And I love that part too. Like, that part I was clapping in the theater because it was just so beautiful to see after he hit that black woman and she went down. He could have kept on going. He could have drove off, but he chose to get out of the car and risk his life for that black woman. And I was like, this this is unity. This is what we need in the Black community. Because we have, as Black people, lost our way in terms of our unity. Black men talking down on Black women, and then in turn, Black women having to defend ourselves, and then in turn talking down on Black men. It's like, it's ridiculous. So I hope as a race, we all can get back to that point where we are uplifting each other and protecting and respecting the Black woman as Chris did in that movie. All right, so next up is Rose, the bimbo. She's the white girl, the main character that leads Chris astray in the first place. And the significance behind her name is that the name Rose is usually associated with someone who is innocent, someone who's delicate, and someone who is like, feminine, trustworthy. And she definitely uses her feminine wiles to draw Chris in and then feed him to the beast. And her persona of being so innocent, oh God, that makes me sick. It makes me sick inside only because immediately I thought back to a woman who claimed that Emmett Till whistled at her just recently came out and said that she was lying. And I just, like this Rose character in the movie, I'm like, she reminds me of that lady. Like that lady probably was trying to play so innocent. Like, oh, this boy whistled at me. Like trying to play so innocent and then flip the script. It's disgusting. And a lot of racist white girls I've noticed are like that. Notice I said racist white girls. Like I have to keep putting that disclaimer, which is sad because if it don't apply, let it fly. But like I said, a lot of racist white girls, I've noticed that they are that way. They like to play the victim, and they like to use like their innocent look or what society perceives them to be as innocent to stab people in the back. Like white women, the white racist women who swoop in and kind of steal the spotlight from Black women at the same time calling it feminism, or like the racist white woman who set up these Black men to be falsely accused of crimes. It's like, that's who this Rose person embodies. And also let us not forget that even though roses are considered feminine, innocent, like they're symbols of beauty and innocence and all that, let us not forget that also when people die, they do put roses on your coffin. At the end of the movie, this girl, the sweet innocent Rose, she came out with a damn shotgun trying to blow Chris' head off. So it's like the symbolism in her name is just, it's too perfect. It fit the movie or fit her character to the T. And then there's a scene in the movie where Chris is pretty much getting away and Rose is on the ground shot. He's standing over her. He's trying to choke her out as he should. And then you see like the cop car, you hear like a cop car blaring, like the cop siren. And immediately Rose starts smiling. And she starts smiling because she knows. She knows that when the cops pull up, there's a white girl on the floor. There's a Black man on top of her. No matter what that Black man says, no matter what he tries to explain himself, he's guilty, he's going to jail, or he might get shot right there on the spot. And she's fully aware of this. So even when she's laying there half dead and she hears those sirens, she gets a kick out of that. She's just like, yep, got your Black ass. Like, the cops are coming, it's over for you type of thing. Which in the end, it wasn't really the cops. But I'm going to save that if you have not seen the movie. But yeah, that part also I was disgusted by, because I feel like a lot of racists, they depend on that aspect as well. Like they know that Black people are not going to be given a fair trial. They know that Black people are guilty just from the color of our skin, and they fully use that to their advantage. That's why any chance they get, I'm calling the police. Like even if they're in the wrong, they know what the consequences are for when the cops get called on a Black person. So that part, disgusting, but realistic at the same time. And then, of course, there is the comic relief in the movie, which is Chris's best friend. I forget his name. I think his name's Rod. And he's the one that's just hilarious and cracking jokes. I think that his character was important as well, because he definitely symbolizes something that goes on in the Black community too. When topics are too heavy, like, or when oppression and racism is just too much, I feel like Black people have a way of joking to get around it. Like, on Black Twitter, people are like, Black people don't take nothing seriously. Like, y'all always joking. And I'm just like, I feel like it's just in our nature to joke, because when you've been through so much, or so much trauma, you've been through so much just disrespect, and when you've been through the things that African Americans have been through, it's almost like you have to find some type of comic relief. You have to get online and crack jokes and turn the situation into a funny situation, because if not, like, psychologically, it's gonna be hard for you to survive. So Rod in the movie providing comic relief to such a heavy topic, it just reminded me of what Black people do all the time in terms of trying to lessen the burden or the weight of racism that we all experience on a daily basis. So that is my breakdown of the movie Get Out. It does a excellent job at highlighting things that Black people go through on a daily basis. I mean, from the minor uncomfortable situations, like when he first gets to the house and it's kind of like, that's, you know, it's kind of weird, and the dad's trying to sound Black or be cool, and all, like, we've all experienced that. The paranoia that we feel, like when the guy was walking through the suburbs, or when Chris was just surrounded by a bunch of white people, we've all been there as Black people, I'm sure, or most of us have. The jealousy and the envy that we feel coming off of racists, like Chris was experiencing with Rose's brother, we all feel that. And then just the psychological damage and the psychological warfare that takes place within an oppressive system. It's great. Like, seriously, all the good reviews are completely and 100% right. It's just a great movie. Go and see it. Go and see it. You will not be sorry. I might go see it again tomorrow because it was that good. All right, guys, so that's pretty much it. That's my analysis. I hope this wasn't too long, but, you know, the movie was just, it was too good. It was too good not to break down. So subscribe if you have not subscribed already. And if you've seen the movie, comment down below with your favorite part. And did I say subscribe already? Yeah, subscribe. And make sure you hit the notification bell so you can be notified whenever I upload. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye. Peace.